Good morning, everybody. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Good morning, honey. It is a good morning. I'm feeling good, but I got something on my spirit that I must. Oh, yes. I must get off. And that something is this whole drama that's been happening with Dwight Howard. I feel some type of way, and I'm not going to lie about it. And if you are a member of the LGBTQIAP community, you might feel some type of way about what I'm about to say. And that's okay because I'm down to have a healthy debate about what I feel. Because just because I feel it doesn't make it gospel. But nonetheless, I'm going to talk about how I feel because this is my channel and that's what I do on here. So, if you're not aware, Dwight Howard, the basketball player, the fine basketball player, was recently outed by some gay man that he was dating. Now, this isn't your typical gay man. Well, I shouldn't say it's not typical because I guess, the sort of androgynous gay male is typical, even though there are some in the LGBTQIAP community that would not necessarily deem that to be the norm. But, I think androgynous men are the norm within that community. So there's this androgynous man who apparently worked on Wild 'N Out, which is a Nick Cannon show. Shout out to Nick Cannon for being inclusive. I know goddamn Zoe and a couple of other people, Candy, have been on the show. So I really like the fact that Nick is making a conscious choice to be inclusive. But see, this is what this type of stuff right here is what will make doors close for people. The thing that we're about to talk about right now. This type of activity is why some straight men don't want to be in close proximity to gay men because they don't want that stigma attached to them. And so, what I'm talking about here today is about people, trans women, gay men, what have you, who choose to weaponize homophobia and transphobia based on when it's convenient for them. Now let me break that down. Let me unpack this for you all. This is what I mean. In the LGBTQIAP community, which I am a proud member of, we are fighting for rights. We are in a very dark time in our history with this current administration. Things are going left when we want them to go right. And we as a community need to let people know that who we are is not some sort of deviant behavior. It's not a matter of some sort of a mental disorder, what have you. It's who we are. I believe that being gay, being trans, being lesbian, being bi, what have you, is congenital. It's something that you're born with. It's programmed into your DNA. And being of that ilk or of that belief, when I see stories like the story about Cassidy and Young Buck and now Dwight Howard, it really pisses me off. And the reason it pisses me off is because, I am staunchly against homophobia, against hate crimes, what have you. But I find that when these men, women, trans women, gay men, what have you, go out here and out these celebrities, very often they're doing it from the position of, I'm going to let everybody know that you're a fag. Excuse my French, but I'm just going to say it like it is today. I'm going to go out here and tell everybody that you're a fag. And yes, that terminology is not a term that I use on a daily basis, but I'm using it for hyperbole because I want people to understand the psychology in its rawest terms. Like, I don't want to dress it up and make it pretty. So that's the thought process. I'm going to out you. I'm going to tell everybody that you're a fag just like me. And if you are a quote-unquote fag and you think that that's wrong, or you think that that's right, or you think that that should be accepted in society, why would you then turn around and use not being accepted as a means of trying to hurt someone else? Do you want to be accepted or not? Like, girl, pick a struggle. Which one is it? Is it okay to be gay, or is it not okay to be gay? Because if it's okay to be gay when it's convenient for you, or when it furthers your agenda, you can't turn around and weaponize it against someone else because you're not getting what you want. And that's what I don't like. Because, excuse me, if you're a trans woman and you perceive yourself to be a woman and a man has slept with you, that shouldn't be a big deal to the point that you would want to out him. Because if you believe yourself to be a woman and a man is sleeping with you, he's sleeping with a woman. But if you go out there and you say, hey, he slept with me and I'm a trans woman, that tells me that you don't see yourself as a woman. That tells me that you see yourself as a dude pretending to be a woman. Oh, yes. And I'm not talking to trans women who are actually trans women. I'm going to tell you guys something else. See, I have this theory. I have a theory. And this might go over your head, but I'm going to say it anyway. My theory is everyone who is trans is not necessarily trans. I believe that there are some gay men who are what I like to call elective trans. And these are gay men who have been around trans women and seen the amount of attention that they get and say to themselves, oh, I want some of that. Because I'm feminine, I want to take it up a notch and be trans. That's really who I am. At their core, that's not really who they are. They're really a gay man living their life as a trans woman. And they make the choice to move forward in their transitioning, and then they wind up, not being happy, and in some cases even being suicidal because they thought the grass was greener on the other side and made changes and modifications that really weren't necessarily who they were. Yes, there are women who are genuinely trans, and that is the direction that their lives should go. That's their natural evolution. But there are also gay men who become trans because they want to work in the sex industry. They want the trade. Oh yes, they want the boys, and so they choose to go that direction because they're around it and they see it, and everyone's telling them how bad they are, and they get sucked up into the hype, and then realize that this isn't really who I am. So they have a little bit of anger and hostility about making choices that weren't necessarily the choices that they would have made had the option not presented itself. So I'm just here to say, look, I don't know what happened in the relationship with Dwight Howard and this young man. I don't know. I wasn't in it, so I really can't speak to it. What I'm saying is, there are other ways to handle issues, discourse, like the breakdown of a relationship. There are other ways to handle it than going around and outing someone, because once you do it, it can't be undone. And trying to affect someone's livelihood in that way, I think is just a mean and vindictive thing to do, especially if you were complicit in your own devaluation. When you went into it, you knew that you were a secret. You knew that he didn't want to be seen publicly with you. You knew that you weren't going to get invited to holidays. You knew that he wasn't going to change his relationship status on social media while he was with you. You knew all of these things going into it. You made that deal. No one forced you to go into that with this man. You did. And just because, for whatever reason, that relationship fails, you're in your bag, sis. You're in your feelings. You're feeling some type of way because he, chose to walk away. Then that's on you. And I'm going to tell you about this story with Dwight Howard. I don't even necessarily believe it, honestly. Just some of the stuff that came out in the story, like Dwight Howard was visiting these trans parties, what have you. Could it happen? Yes, it could happen. But I just think that a man with that much to lose is going to have a little bit more discretion in terms of how he moves. That just seems way too reckless for me. And maybe he did. Maybe he was just at the point, sometimes people are sick of hiding and they just start acting reckless because they want to get caught. So maybe that was the case. But I just can't believe that Dwight Howard was at these parties, these quote-unquote trans parties with all of these trans women in the day and age of cell phones, and no one else took a picture. No one else has outed him, because it would have happened long before, as far as I'm concerned. So anyhow, you guys, if I hurt your feelings, I just want to say good. Make sure you comment below. I'm really curious to know how you guys feel, whether you feel like weaponizing homophobia, transphobia, whatever is something that is okay to do given the circumstances, or whether you feel like you have to pick a different way to fight. And I think that that's the thing that I would say to the people who are outing them. If Dwight Howard has done something to you and wrongs you in some type of way, figure out a different way to fight. I don't know what he's done to you, so I can't give you advice on how I would handle it. But I'll say, when you weaponize transphobia and homophobia, you don't just hurt you; you hurt an entire community. You help to push back the movement, because people are less likely to be inclusive, to be accepting, because what you're saying is, if I'm a straight man, right, and I see someone who's gay or trans, I have to put a distance or a barrier between us, because being affiliated with that person could potentially be detrimental to my career. And wait, one more thing before I go, because I'm not just going to put all of the onus on the LGBTQIA community. Black people, my people, black people, we got to do better with this homophobia thing. We got to do better with this transphobia thing. Girl, it's out there. It's not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? And the more you turn it into this sort of deviant behavior, the less likely people are to live in their truth and to step out into the light and show you who they really are. If you're concerned about being fooled, for lack of a better term, if you're concerned about, falling in love, and why is it this double standard, right? I'm going off on a couple of different tangents here. Why is it this double standard that women are allowed to sleep with whoever they want to, and their sexuality is never questioned? Not an issue. Not an issue. A woman. I was just watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and the girl from Black, I can't think of her name right now, but she was just talking about how she wanted an open relationship so she can experiment with women. And now she's back with her husband, but she's not stigmatized. Her value hasn't been diminished by the fact that she slept with a woman. But you let a man sleep with another man, and he is forever marked by the scarlet letter. So we got to get beyond that, people of color. We also got to get beyond this homophobia, this transphobia, and just let people live their and be their authentic selves. Let people live their best lives. If who they are, if what they are is not something that you necessarily agree with, you have every right to disagree, but you don't have the right to stifle someone's right to be who they are. So, I guess that's about it. Like I said, make sure you comment below, share, subscribe, all that good stuff if you feel so inclined. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Holla.